Good morning, everyone. Happy Flag Day. It's the 14th of June. This is Katie Carney for Katie Carney's Stitching. And she's already getting a sip of her coffee because that's the kind of day it is. But I love this cup. It says, Hogwarts is my home. And you can see that I'm not on my first cup of the day. I'm on like number 4. It has been a long time since I filmed. Not long in Flosstube standards, but definitely long in Katie standards. I like to film every 2 weeks. Usually I'm a fairly prolific stitcher, so that makes sense. But my life derailed. I think in the last video you kind of saw the beginnings of the derailing, and then it did not get better. Let's see. I traveled a lot for work in in May. I went to Philly at the beginning of the month, and I closed out the month in Pittsburgh, and that's a 5.5-hour drive one way. And I was there I arrived on a Wednesday afternoon. I had left my house at 6 in the morning, 6:30, and I came home. I got home around 6 on Saturday night. And then that was 2 weeks ago now. Yeah. So it's been crazy. And then, as you know, my church was closing. It is now closed. I will talk about that. And we'd choir practice every Wednesday for the entire time. And it's just been, I didn't stitch for like a full week, I think, maybe more. That's the longest I've gone without stitching since I started. But I was just tired and brain dead and depressed and busy. I was so busy. Work is crazy, but good. I'm grateful for my job. I've been there a year now. Yay. And then obviously the church closed last week, and that was absolutely horrific. I don't know how else to describe it. It was awful. It was so beautiful, and I want to talk about it here. I know that most of you don't care, but it was a huge part of my life. I'm not gonna, go into crazy detail, but I just want to have kind of a way to remember it all. So there was a priest buried in the lower church. It was 2 churches. So when the church was first built at the turn of the century, they had what we call the lower church, St. Teresa's Chapel. And so that's where they had mass while the upper church was being completed. So the priest who founded the church, Father O'Reilly, was buried there. And they obviously had to re-entomb him. So I was calling it the not funeral funeral. So they dug him up. The funeral home did an absolutely beautiful job. It's difficult. I mean, he was just in a wooden casket, and it's been under a building for 120 years, so that was not a fun job. Caskets were not made to last. So they donated a beautiful oak, very heavy casket, and they reinterred him. There was a service on Saturday morning. So he was there. Also, if I cry, I apologize. He was there until the end. So I sang at that service. We sang 3 songs. They had the daily prayers. Our priest had the most beautiful sermon. I mean, I sobbed. I mean, it was so beautiful about this priest's life and his devotion to the people of South Scranton, to the Irish of South Scranton, and his belief that we needed this church and that the people deserved to have some place to worship, and then how much he was beloved in the community. I mean, it was just, and he was one of 11. He had 3 brothers who were also priests. I mean, it was a beautiful sermon. And then we went to the cemetery, and he is buried in South Scranton next to Bishop Klanowski, who was the auxiliary bishop in Scranton. He died in the 70s, and my dad's high school was actually named Bishop Klanowski after him. So that was also, it was really beautiful. And then I came home. I made homemade meatballs. I got those cooking, and gnocchi dough, because my brother and my sister-in-law came in. Then I went And I served at the 4:30 Mass. I sang, and that was so hard. It was the last normal Mass at the church, and it was just awful. And the priest had another beautiful sermon, really good. He's a really good homilist. Like, he does a great, great sermon. And it was just. So I finally pull myself back together and I go to sing the offertory song, which was Spirit and Grace, because it was Pentecost. Never has a weekend felt less like Pentecost than last weekend, because Pentecost is the founding of the Roman Catholic Church when Jesus left us. And so it did not feel like Pentecost because the church was closing. Anyway, the woman who got up to read the intentions, all the intentions were about the Nativity. So they are technically, I'm not a member anymore, St. Teresa of Calcutta Parish. And my little bit of, I don't know what to call it, but I said at the beginning, the cantor welcomes everyone, and you say, welcome to St. Teresa of Calcutta Parish. And I said, welcome to Nativity of Our Lord Church. And I barely got through that. And I was not supposed to do that, and I don't care. So anyway, I had to sing after this woman fell apart during the intentions, and I'm a sympathy crier, so I was crying with her. Never have I had more trouble hitting a high C, but I was like, Lord, you better be with me. I want this to be beautiful. So anyway, I got through that, came home, immediately started cooking gnocchi, got dinner on the table for like 6:30, fed everyone. They stayed till about 9, and then the next morning at 7, I went to adoration with my brother, and stayed for about an hour. We also like went down to the lower church. We did a lot of stuff down there when we were kids, so we were in there, and then my parents and my grandparents, we refurbished the organ probably 25-ish years ago, and everybody donated, a couple $100 and $1,000, $1,500, etc., etc. And if you donated a certain amount, your name was on a plaque. And I looked at Burke and I was like, I want those. So we snuck into the entryway of the church that we don't normally use, and he has a Swiss Army knife, and he took them. And as he's taking my parents off, because we got my grandparents, as he's taking my parents off, the priest is coming. And I'm going, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. The priest is coming, hurry up. And he's like, Katie, shut up. Like we were 12. I mean, and then at 10 o'clock, so I left and had breakfast. And at 10, there was a prayer, final closing prayer for adoration. So they put the Blessed Sacrament away. And then I had to be back for 11. So I had to be back for 11 and for a choir rehearsal. And I ended up being interviewed by 2 local news stations and Catholic television. So that was something. Had to pretend to be A-okay, and I was not. But anyway, the last Mass was, all told, probably about nearly 3 hours. And I cried and cried and cried. Like, it's absurd. I cried so much. It was awful. And then at the end, you kiss the altar as you're leaving. And we sang funeral songs for that. Of course, we sang Jerusalem, My Destiny. And then we sang the Irish Blessing. And then we sang, oh my gosh, what did we sing? Hang on, let me check. Because I always get the name wrong. And it's on, so I'm a planner. So I have like all the readings picked for my funeral. And I have, like, I know what I want. And this is one of the songs. Here I Am, Lord. And my brother comes over after kissing the altar. And, like, my grandfather was buried from there. We did my mom's committal service there. And he's crying. And I had been crying, but not, like, sobbing. And Burke came over, and I just fell apart. But anyway, It was beautiful. The church is gone. It's not a church anymore. And I just don't look that direction when I go for walks because I live really close to the church. So anyway, not apparently, when this all first started, I had said to the priest, I wish that there was a way that we could give the parishioners something. The windows are so beautiful. Everything is so majestic and beautiful, and it's huge. You could fit the entirety of the cathedral and the cathedral's buildings just in that church. It's huge. So anyway, apparently Father took that to heart, and they gave us, if you were there, this gift. So this is the name of the parish. I don't know why we named it that, but whatever. It's this beautiful box. I'm sorry, by the way, I know this is long. And they gave us a little card with a QR code that has all the information about the church, and then an actual, like, card, and then it has the original seal for Nativity. So they did these from when the church opened. And then they gave us this little stand. They'd made these. They did this themselves, the parish council and the priest. And they said, a piece of stained glass from the Church of the Nativity of the Lord. I'm sorry. I'm so embarrassed. But anyway, I'm not stopping, so. And then they gave us, so this is a piece of glass from the church, and they etched, this is the church. They etched it on there. I hate myself. I'm sorry. I don't want to forget all of this. So anyway, they gave us that as we left. And then a little God wink. So last week, that Thursday, I went to frame my uncle's and the choir director's nativities. So I was up at Hobby Lobby trying to pick a frame because I was going to go to Michael's. I knew I wanted an 8x8. And Michael's had an 8x8 that I liked. But Hobby Lobby will cut that mat for you right when you're there to fit, which is awfully convenient. So anyway, I put the pieces down because I wanted to pick the color, and the framer comes out, and she's like, is this your church? And I was like, yeah, it's closing on Sunday. She's like, oh, I know. I have a baptism on Saturday in New Jersey, and I have to turn around and come right home so I can be at the closing. And it turns out she's American born, but she goes to the Spanish Mass. And so she goes to my church. And she does all my framing at Hobby Lobby. And she was so funny. She's like, what, you don't think I can get these done for you? And I was like, ma'am, I'm sure you could, but could and has time to do are two different things. So anyway, I met, her name's Leslie, and she's the framer at Hobby Lobby that I always use. And I went back on Monday with my brother so we could have our nativity. I wanted mine professionally done, and Burke's also, because I was adding something to it. Ryan and my Uncle Tim's is just the piece, and I could lace that myself. But she helped us pick a frame, and not only did she do that, I said, is there any way that you can get my brother's done for tomorrow? He's got to go back to Tennessee, and it's big. It'll be hard for me to ship it, but I will. And she's like, oh, yeah. Well, she had both of ours done by lunch on Tuesday. So 24-hour turnaround at Hobby Lobby. This woman is a miracle. And it's so beautiful. She picked the frame. I did not. As I've told you, Nativity was majestic and gold and gilded and beautiful and stone, and there it is. The frame is just absolutely perfect. The mat is green because we're an Irish parish. My friend Susie showed up Sunday with the postcard framed, but I took it out of the frame because I wanted it with my nativity. And then the black and white postcard that I had found, I gave to Burke. So his is the same with a different postcard. So yeah, there it is. I don't know where I'm going to put it. Part of me wants to buy a shelf and put this on the shelf, and then kind of in front of it have the stained glass piece. But Leslie did an absolutely fantastic job. She quoted us $50 each. It ended up costing $35. I don't know how she did it for cheaper. I'm assuming she didn't charge us for something. But what she did was she laced the cross stitch, and then she mounted the postcard onto so you can see the little holders that it's in. So she mounted that directly on the mat board. and I love it so much. I love it. It's perfect. So thank you, Leslie. And thank you for listening to me for 15 minutes and watching me cry again. It's not the first time I've cried on here. I cried on here when Mark... Actually, it was funny. I was thinking about filming this, and I was like, well, it wouldn't be the first time that I cried on a Flosstube, because I cried when Mark and I broke up. So, yay me! You guys get me, whether you like it or not. You just get Katie. This is who I am. So yeah, it was rough. It was rough. So finally, Monday, I was ready to like stitch again. So now I'm going to show you a couple gifts that I got, and then I'm going to show you the cross stitch, okay? So first off, Jenny sent me the most beautiful mug with a quote from Proverbs on it. And that is in the dishwasher because I used it yesterday and I should have used it today. Jenny, I am very sorry. I'm the worst. And then when I was in Pittsburgh, my coworker, it turns out that she embroiders and she has to listen to me quite often. Oh my, hang on, I'm going to blow my nose. Okay, I'm back with less than that. One of my coworkers is a embroiderer, and I always say, it's fine, I'm fine, everything is fine. And she showed up to dinner with this. It's so me. That's me as a cat. So I'm gonna put it on my gallery wall. I can't wait to add it. Now that I've shown it to you, I can add it, so that's good. And then Steph, I had sent her a birthday gift of well, a couple things. One of them was a Dobby with Harry's the cake from the third book that he breaks, or second book, excuse me. And Steph had sent me a couple pictures of fake Legos that she wanted. And I was like, oh, I really like that. So on Saturday, when I got home from church and was making hundreds of gnocchi, I got a package from Amazon. And it is this. And I did start it. It's very hard. I've never done like Legos like this before. So here's what I have so far. And I'm hoping to, I'm gonna put that down gently because that took me 2 hours. I'm hoping to have that done in a couple weeks. Maybe you'll see it at the next video. And then yesterday, I got the sweetest unexpected package. Did not know this was coming. And there's a note somewhere that I have apparently lost. But it is a bag of patterns that and a little bit of fabric. So some of these I'm going to give away. Some of these I am not giving away. Like, I love this Stacey Nash. Like, look at the blue with the pumpkin. Love that so much. And then there were just some really cute patterns. Like, I've always wanted to do poinsettia house, and there it is. And it was just so thoughtful. And there was one I was really excited about. There it is. I really like this Threadworks primitive for the 4th of July. So I was very excited. And then there was a little bit of Ada, and you guys know how I feel about Ada. But the sweetest thing was, in her note, she said she watched my video where I announced how sad I was that I was out of Dusty Rose from Dinky Dyes. And don't you know that she loves it too, so she ordered us both some Dinky Dyes in Dusty Rose. The best pink that exists. The best. There is no pink that competes with this Dusty Rose pink from Dinky Dyes. So thank you so much. It was such a unexpected treat, but also like I was so down in the dumps yesterday, so it was definitely a little bit of happy while I was, I don't want to say sassy, but I was not in a great place yesterday. I had a meeting with some friends, and I was like, I'm not in a good mood. I'm really sorry. So, and then I just have a little haul that I'm going to show you fast. I found 2 of the lavender and lace patterns that I don't have. They're both the Christmas ones, which are hard to come by. So it is the Children O Christmas Tree. And if anybody ever finds the Santa sleeping on his easy chair after Christmas, please let me know. But anyway, and then Santa of the Forest. Believe it or not, I didn't have this. Vanna's quite famous for her Santa of the Forest. But when she started Santa of the Forest, that's when I started Christmas spirit. Okay, let's go through some whips. So though Mania kind of fell apart a little bit, I did stick with only working on things that were in the plan for Mania. So the last time you saw me, I was planning to work on, hang on one second, let me get it out of the bag and not get coffee on it. That would be terrible. I was planning to work on Annunciation, this giant pattern, so many stitches. And I am using DMC, is this like 822 or something? It's a winey red. I have a whole cone of it. And I got some good work on this. I got about 1,000 stitches in on a weekend. And I still love it. But 1,000 stitches when there are, I don't know, it's 347 by 375. It's a lot of, and it's practically full coverage, so it's big. She's a big one. Hang on, let me think about what way this goes. There we go. So here's what I got done. Hang on, you'd think I hadn't done a Flosstube for a month based on this. There we go. So there's what I got done. I added this whole framed in area, and then I think I only had like that done. So I added a bunch more of those diamonds. I love this piece. It's really fun to work on because it's one color. Just load up your needle, follow the pattern, and go, go, go. So I think maybe I'm at 1%. Maybe not. I might not be at 1%. So I'll be working on that forever. But that's okay. I love it. So that's that. And then let me pull the whips to me. All right. So then on Monday, I decided I needed a new start. And I pulled out, this is Bridget Power, 1840. So that's the tabernacle in a Catholic church. She was Irish, so Catholic. So my church was Irish and Catholic. It was founded by the Irish people in Scranton. My last name is Carney. I know you're shocked. So I decided this was the piece to start. Went through my stash, and she's also big, so I needed to find the right piece of fabric, and I did. This is a Bestitch Me sand dollar. It's 25 count Lugana, and I'm doing it over 1, and I've got a couple hundred stitches in. She's tiny. There's a lot of colors in there already, but I do love the 25 count over 1. So I am doing this in markup, so I'm going to do 1 page at a time, and started, obviously, I'm not going to put her information at the bottom. So I did start, yeah, I started here. So you can see that I'm working on the curtain around the tabernacle and the altar and the flowers there. So yeah, I love it. She is a beaut. And then just in that little bit, these are all the colors that I've already used. And then I am using Felix from Cottage Gardens for my black. So that, my plan is tomorrow is Sunday. And I don't have any plans except for going to church. And I haven't decided what church I'm going to yet. part of me doesn't want to go, but we do have a Sunday obligation, so I'm gonna go. But I don't know where I'm going yet. That's a tomorrow problem. Tomorrow I have to decide. Tomorrow. But other than that, I'm making honey garlic chicken with rice and roasted vegetables for dinner, and that's all I'm doing all day. I'm going to a doll show after this. Okay, so here's a couple more Mania starts. The first is from Cross Stitcher magazine, and it is Beach Road. Did not know who I was going to make this for, but my coworker who made me the It's Fine piece, she loves the beach. And so I started this for her, except they don't give you much extra fabric, and we are close, but we're making it fit. So I'm going to mount it raw because there's no other way to mount it. So I'm going to mount it raw on just a piece of like wood that I'll beachify in some way. So I started that. That I guess during those like 2 weeks where I didn't really stitch, that's all I did, which is not much. And then I'm currently working on, in the morning, you had seen this start, but my Prairie Schooler Santa number 2001, that's not a number, it's a year. So 2001, Partridge in a Pear Tree. And I will not finish this weekend, but I will finish this early next week. So you will see it again, but here's where I am. So I have to pull DMC 646 for the partridge. That's what I don't have. And other than it's that and finishing the coat and adding in the red hat, and then he's done. So what I've started doing with my Santas is I do everything except for the red. And then I just have to fill in the red. I don't know why. That's just how I do them. This is my second for the year. So I have 2002 and 2003 left to do. And then my only other whip is called Rejoice and Be Glad. And I don't have the pattern here. It must be downstairs. So I decided to do this on I think this is an 18 count pinkish hand-dyed piece of Aida by someone. You can see I had already started something on it. And I don't think I'm not using the called for. I just pulled from stash. So this is color and cotton from the Downton Abbey box from Bestitch Me. So this is Great Britain declares war on Germany. So that's the brown I'm using. And then the other three colors are going to be Lemongrass by Classic Colorworks. This is Spanish Flu Spreads Across Europe, though I could use Dusty Rose for this. That's also from that box. And then Cinnamon from one of the Harry Potter boxes. That's that pink, dark pink. So the colors are a little different. I'm changing them, which I don't mind doing for smalls. I would like to get this done sooner rather than later. I'm meeting a friend soon, actually, as soon as I'm done, for a doll show, and then we're gonna go get a coffee before we meet another friend for lunch. So I might actually take that with me and work on it in the coffee shop. We shall see. My plans are to work on Bridget Powell and get a page finish. I should be able to do that tomorrow, hopefully. Page finish on that. Finish my Santa and Rejoice and Be Glad. And then I need to start my friend Susie's next birthday bird, one of those little birds from Cross Stitcher. So I need to start that, and then I'm going to work on Frogwarts. So those are my plans for this upcoming month. Hopefully I'll be back at the end of June and don't wait till July. Currently, I'm also trying to decide if I should try to either ask Jen to go through her stash and buy something from her stash for Let Freedom Ring by Leela's Studio. I have all the floss for it, but I don't have fabric because she's a big boy. And I'm trying to decide, do I start that in 2025 or do I wait until 2026 for the actual anniversary, 250th anniversary, or do I work on it the year leading up to the 250? So my degree's in history, and I'm a reenactor. So 25 years ago for 225, I did all of the reenacting. I mean, we went up and down the eastern seaboard for years for anniversary events. I don't really reenact anymore. My clothes are spread through many reenactors. I don't know where they all are. I've lent them out to people and they don't come back very quickly. So even if I wanted to go to an event, I would have to go naked, and no thank you. But I do want to celebrate the 250th. But maybe I'll start it on the 249th. We'll see. So Jen, if you're watching this, if you've got any ideas for fabric, let me know. But anyway, I'm sorry that I was cried at the beginning. I'm embarrassed now, but it's done and there's nothing I can do about it except for upload this. I love you all. Thank you for being so kind to me. Thank you for your comments and your likes. It's nice to check in. I missed you. I don't like not checking in. So I will talk to you all soon. Be safe. Be well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.